Outside Flynn's Arcade, I'm here with Cloud Talk Live. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Cloud Talk Live. My name is, of course, Jeff DeVerter, and I'm excited to be here with you today. And guys, we're in a new part of Rackspace. Did you know Rackspace had an arcade? Well, we do, and we're going to get into talking about that with my guest here shortly. But first of all, I'd love to know who you are. I'd love to know where in the world you guys are. So go ahead and comment, whatever platform you're on. It's down below. It's on the right. It's up above. I don't know where your comments are, but introduce yourself. I'd love to get to know who you are. We got some questions for you later as well, so be ready to answer that. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can always do that by just sending a simple little email. Yes, the world still does that, us boomers, to solve@rackspace.com. You can do that. You can also message me over on LinkedIn. If you're not already best buds over there, please feel free to connect up. And I would love to get to know you more. So, folks, let's progress into our morning. Of course, everything that you get here, you can find over at rackspace.com/solve, but also you can get information from these live events. We take the audio and we shove it into the podcast stream. We also have other podcasts that we post over there as well, but you can't get them unless you subscribe. So head over to where you find your podcasts and sign on up. Erdem, we're glad that you're here. We have a storage engineer who's here. Super excited. You're starting your Rackspace journey on Monday. We have a new racker. Hey, where are you in the world? I'd love to know that. We got Maryland is here. Michael's here from Houston. Hasn't gotten paroled out of Houston yet. Megan's down on Main Street. Folks, that right there is what we call at Rackspace Main Street, because it's the main street. All right, we've got Alex, who is a CISSP. Fantastic. Or Kenny Hackworth. Alex, I'm confused. All right. Everyone, welcome. I'm so excited for our morning. I get to bring up and introduce to you a gentleman named Joe Byrne. Now, Joe and I are great friends. We have gotten to be great friends over the past couple of weeks, but I'm more friends with his company because, first of all, of course, they are sponsors of the Solve program here at Rackspace. But more importantly, they are the leaders in what is known as full stack observability. Now, if you are not an expert in full stack observability, well, you're going to be by the time this program is done. So Tampa is here. Amit is here. Daniel's in from Jersey. Of course he is. And we have Chicago. Oh, our new rackers from Chicago. But with that, folks, why don't we bring Joe on up onto the stage, Daniel, and let's learn a bit more about Joe. Joe, welcome to Cloud Talk Live. Your first time.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
I'm glad that you're here. Now, CTO over at App Dynamics. That's a fancy title.
Yeah, well, titles are things. But, essentially my role is just to help make everybody successful. That's really what I try to do.
I love the sound of that. Now, Joe, when we were kind of pre-show here, getting ready to go, that Flynn's Arcade kind of rang true to you.
It did, yeah. It takes me back, right? So I'm going to make one correction, though. You called us boomers earlier. We're Gen X, man. Come on, Jeff.
We are.
Only just too far below. But yeah, it just.
But
it
they
was
say
very
boomers. They
nostalgic
don't
for
say
me.
Xers. That would be weird.
I know. But I used to work Electronic Arts. I'm a video game guy. I have one out in my man cave, and Flynn's, it just makes me feel good. So I was excited to see that. I got to come play them there.
I would love for you to come. Now, folks, this isn't a virtual background. That's for real. And if you want me to run back in there and play Pac-Man, I'll run back in there and play Pac-Man. Forget the show. But here at Rackspace, that used to be one of our conference rooms. And one of the things that they've done to, help draw rackers back in to come into the office, bait with a carrot, not beat with a stick, was they built an arcade, Flynn's Arcade. It's really, really quite awesome. There's a floor-to-ceiling Pac-Man, multi-game in there, which is kind of fun. And love that. So... you can see also to the side here is ultimately it's a big slide. Joe, I was showing you this before. Why don't we show the rest of the crew? I've got buttons here. Look, there's me kind of standing to the side, resting my leg. But if I pan this camera around, what you'll see once we go all the way around, because, that would make it too easy, is Rackspace has a floor-to-ceiling, 2-story stainless steel slide in it. So you've got to come here and ride the slide down to Flynn's.
Very cool. So we were talking though. Like my question is, how many people in your audience know what the Flynn's is?
Ooh, we were just thinking we're
Right?
being clever with a funny little name. So let's
No.
ask that question, folks. Do you know what Flynn's is and what that reference is? So you've got some comments. I can see you've learned how to type things in. We got John from Bossier City, all kinds of people in from all over. Any openings? Who is it who said that? Merdad, of course we have openings. Yes. And yes, the slide is a righteous slide. It is an amazing ride. So, fun fact: I've ridden this slide more times than I can count, but I also can't count very high. And most of the time, I'm wearing jeans. But I had a fancy meeting a couple years back in here. It was more than a couple, and I had worn slacks. I'm going in for the meeting, and I was showing off the slide. And I needed to get from floor 2 to floor 1, so why not ride the slide? Jeans have friction; slacks do not. I launched out of the bottom of that thing. I think I hit the floor on the first. Just great.
That's funny.
Great fun. All right, we got some people saying nope, they don't get the reference to Flynn's. So I'm not gonna answer the question yet. Let's and don't go Google in. Let's just give people a second to go poke around. So who knows what Flynn's arcade is and why that is important in our geeky culture? Because it is important to us. Hi from India, Harnish. Glad that you're here. Well, Joe, as they're answering that question, let's talk a little bit here. I already mentioned you're the CTO over at App Dynamics, but as any good employee would first be a customer, and I think that's where your story came from. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was VP of engineering at a company, a fintech company, and we built software that our customers used as kind of their lifeblood of the organization. It was very critical to their business, kind of the primary money maker, right? That software goes down, they're not making money.
Yeah.
And we had an outage at the end of a quarter back in 2014, and doing all the regular things. We were monitoring the back end, all the servers, the CPU, the memory, the network, all these things. But we weren't monitoring the application itself. And it ended up taking us multiple days to find this outage. And it turns out it was a line of code that had been written 7 years prior by one of the developers and just never triggered. Right. And so it taught me, and the lesson was, we're monitoring all of this information in the back end, all the infrastructure, like I said, the CPU, the memory, the network, all this, but all that's there for one purpose, and it's to provide an application with an optimized experience. So if you're not watching and monitoring the application itself, it's kind of like going to practice all week and skipping game day. It just doesn't make sense. And so there's two kinds of people that think how important observability and application performance monitoring are. They're those that are smart enough to know, that they have to monitor that and it's important to the customer experience, and those that get burned. And I got burned, and that's how I learned. And then, I went on, and so I found App Dynamics, and we started using that at the organization and changed the way we built software. And it was really an incredible change for us. And they continue to be a huge customer of ours. And then I moved on to Albertsons, the second largest grocery chain here in the US. And we were building out the first DevOps team. And we had to move all of our on-premise customer-facing applications to the cloud. And so we brought in App Dynamics to help with that, because now it could measure and understand what performance looked like before and after, compare on-prem to the cloud and things like this. So I was a customer, huge fan, and then the opportunity arose to join, and I jumped all over it.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to continue this part of the conversation, but guys, we're paired across a whole lot of different streams, and we see all the comments from all of the streams, but you do not see all the comments. So we do have an answer, and the answer, of course, is Tron. It was in Tron, but you know what? Somebody who is paired there says that they keep thinking of the song from the rock band Journey. Big Journey fan, but I don't remember what song was in the movie. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Joe?
I'm trying to think. I don't know which song it was. Don't Stop Believing.
Right.
Maybe.
I think we need to have a Journey listening party next live stream. That would be super fun.
So they're right. They got Tron. So let me ask you this: what was Flynn's video game in the movie Tron? What was Flynn building that he was playing that getting him sucked into the machine?
Hero was being all fancy and knowledgeable about knowing what Flynn's was, and I don't remember what the game was. I don't remember.
Let's see.
All right, the audience knows. Oh, Worlds Apart. Oh, good answer.
Oh, that's a great song. Okay. Yeah, it is.
Good song. Anybody listen to, if you're a music buff, and especially if you're a player or an engineer or in production, whatnot, but go to YouTube, and not right now, go look later and look up
Yeah.
Rick Beato. Rick Beato is this producer guy who's made a name for himself in deconstructing songs and talking about why songs are great. And he's done a ton of Journey songs. It's a good stuff to go check it out.
Cool.
All right, what game was he making, Joe? We're never going to talk about App Dynamics again. We're
There
just
it
talking
is,
about
Rich.
pop culture now.
Rich got it. Space Paranoids. That was the game that Flynn had built. It was playing as an arcade. Nice.
That is so fun. Well done, Rich. I love it.
Yeah, good job.
And that is a line from the song Love Will Find You, but it is Worlds Apart, actually, is the name of the song. All right, so let's all put the lyrics into there. This is so much fun. That's right, 10,000 points for Rich. Rich, I'd send you something if I had something to send you. So connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll find you some Rackspace, some swag to send your way. I'd love to do that. I don't have any Cloud Talk Live things. All right. Hey, let's get back on topic for a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless we want to talk about another Journey song, because I really enjoy Journey. Favorite Journey album? Do you have a favorite Journey album, Joe? Because we're Gen Xers.
Well, if it's album, it's best of. It's on my Spotify playlist because it's it has all the classics on there. That's turn up the radio loud music. Yeah.
That is such good stuff. Then we could sing like Steve Perry. Okay, we got to get back.
Yeah.
All right, so you said several things in your answer before, because we all, as systems engineers, programmers, and things like that, if you think about the systems in our era, especially as we would deploy these things, there would be database servers, there would be application servers, whether they are front end or whether they're a second tier providing services. They are connecting and going through routers, and all of those generate content in the context of logs. And when things go bump in the night, what happens, Joe? We bring everybody into a room and everybody plays It's Not My Problem. It's a great game, and there's only ever one loser.
No, it's not.
And it's not a great game. It's not a great game because everybody's in defensive mode, and everybody is awake, and not everybody needs to be awake. Now, what I've learned so much over the past several months from you guys, what Full Stack Observability is doing is really looking at it from the application performance down and integrating hooks all the way through so that you know where the problems are. So if it is a database issue or it's a networking issue or it's a whatever, you're only waking one team up to make that fix. Did I get it right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so critical because as we as technologists have tried to make applications easier to use, more intuitive, on all the time with the 3 and 4 and 9 numbers, right? It's gotten more complex for a lot of us on the back end. So, what were these monolithic applications? Now we've got 23 different microservices that we have to pay attention to and monitor and understand. And now there's hybrid environments where you've got things on-prem and it's using the cloud and there's multi-cloud. And any one of those connections, from the time that I pick up my phone and open an app, all the way till there's a call to the database, and the data in the in the database server, everywhere, the entire journey from one end to the other, something can go wrong. Right? You can have an issue, and you need to be able to understand that. And the days of those war rooms you're talking about, and pouring through all the telemetry, and each team saying, "Well, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me," and then the finger pointing starts, right? Well, last time it was the database and this kind of thing, right? It's cost prohibitive. It's a waste of time. And so to be able to have a system that can look at all of that data and help you understand causality and what root cause is and all the commonality of what's happening with all the different anomalies that may be occurring or what broke basically and where to go to fix it and how to fix it. The faster you can get there, the better everybody is in terms of, the optimization of the application, the happiness of the customers, the happiness of the employees, everybody working on fixing it. So that's really the key is to use the machine learning, the AI, all of these things that are built in to some of these applications. And with things like open telemetry and all the shared telemetry now, we're able to see so much more than we ever were before. And putting this all together in kind of a one dashboard and be able to view all of this and see things, and then it's essential today. It's not even really an option anymore. I don't think if you're going to be successful, you have to have that.
Yeah. Now, Jagdish, we're going to get to your question in just a second to talk about the implications on cybersecurity as well. But I want to just address a little bit about what you're saying there, Joe, because we're still looking at this through a lens of, hey, we're in IT and we want to make sure our systems are delivered well, which is a valid thing to do. But FSO, full stack observability, is so much more. So let's extend that up into the business layer, unpack how it impacts there.
Yeah, I mean, it's most every application is built with a business purpose. There's some kind of KPI or some business reason, right? We're not doing it just because we have extra time, extra money, and we think it's fun, although it can be. So to understand and be able to directly correlate the technology in the application and its feature functionality to the business. Like say as an example, you're not getting as many new registrants as you want. Your conversion's not right. And so you make a change to that process. You either auto-populate some fields, maybe you take a couple fields out to make it easier to register, something along those lines. You make these changes to be able to push that new code, see what's happening, and watch in real time as your conversion hopefully grows or goes up, right? Or and just as valuable, did it not? Did we change the wrong thing? Do we need to go out and fix it? And so being able to tie your application and the technology to the business, to bring the technology team to have a seat at the table, to have these conversations about strategy and about the organization, because so much now, especially after what we've just gone through in the last 2 years, we're using our applications for way more than we ever used to. I mean, there's 40, 50 different things you'll do in a day with your application. And the expectation is it's on, it's available, it works no matter what device I'm on, no matter what time it is, no matter what I want to do. And so, that access can help the business if you're doing it properly, but you need to be able to see those things and correlate it together.
You really do. And the fact that you can connect you could go back to a SQL stored procedure and tie that to a business KPI. You've never been able to really do that effectively before. And the functioning of whatever that element is, it could be a microservice, it could be in anything. But knowing that that's running really could have implications to a shopping cart. It could have implications to employee login. It could have implications to anything. And that anything really becomes, what is the most important thing to you and your organization about that context? And that's what really gets me excited about full stack observability is that we can now connect the technologists who used to sit in the dark room and work on the burn down pile. They would grab tickets. Now we're connecting their activity to real business outcomes. It gives them some skin in the game to know that, hey, I fix this thing or I make it run better, my business does better. And people care about that sort of stuff. That's very job satisfaction oriented.
Well, it absolutely is. And that's something that a lot of the engineering teams and IT teams have been missing forever. It's like, you're asked to change direction, you're mid-sprint or something, and somebody comes in from product or whatever and has this new idea, and it's going to be bigger than sliced bread, and we're going to make millions. So you derail everything, you totally change directions, you work hard, you get out this new feature functionality, whatever it is, and then you don't hear back. Like, was it successful? What did it happen?
Right.
And being able to see that happen in real time in your application when you push out, it helps kind of with the pride of ownership, right? And pride of workmanship in terms of what you did. It's like, my code did that. And that's
to know that your company was constrained to only be able to sell 55 widgets a day, whatever that might be. And now it's doing 55,000 because you wrote code. That's huge.
Yeah. And then having that insight and paying attention to that, it changes the way engineers think. Because now they're thinking, okay, well, what else can we do? What other impact can I have? And one of the things I'm careful with this, depending upon the audience, but it is my personal experience that it is easier for the technologists to understand the business than it is for the business people to understand the technology. So when you give the technologists that business insight, now they can come and have great new ideas where we can move the needle in the business. But they need to have that understanding. And then having the business people understand why these very expensive engineering teams are necessary, and you can visually show them in real time the impact you're having on their bottom line with the technology that you built. Because we're all in the boat together, right? I don't mean to say us and them. Like, we all have the same goal. We want the company to do well. We all want the stock to go up, right? But to really understand the impact, cause and effect between the two is important for everybody.
It is. And then you can even connect that up to C-suite. Because think about the IT leaders that would still go in and, they would do their readout of IT up to the leaders. And they go, look, and we wrote, we delivered 15 new modules of code in the past month. And C-suite goes, good, great, nods their head. But what does that mean? Now they can say, we delivered 15 new modules of code, and that has lowered the number of support tickets that have come in. We're now serving with less people. We're now selling more stuff, or whatever those things are. It connects real human activity all the way down from the developer to business function. And I love that. So I want to really quick, we are getting close to the end of our chance to visit here. But Jagdish did ask the question before about the implications of FSO in and around cybersecurity. Maybe you can address that for a second.
Yeah. So one of the things we've done at Cisco App Dynamics is we've created a way. So a lot of what we'll do is when we're monitoring what's happening inside these applications, we have agents, right, that are watching, because you need to have something inside the application, because FSO is the data inside the app paired up with the data from like the network perspective outside. When you pair those together, that's full stack, right? You've got both inside out and outside in. So what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to piggyback on these, and now we can watch and find vulnerabilities in the application in real time. And that's being fed by Cisco's Talos, right? So Cisco, as we know, has some top-notch industry best security practices and tools. We've got one of the best orgs in the world. And so we can piggyback on that, and we can use that and now watch and monitor in real time as we're doing the application performance monitoring, and not only find, but we're doing some new cool things on our roadmap where not only can you find and tag and flag these vulnerabilities, you're going to be able to push out things to help mitigate and stop those. You're going to be able to tie it to business transactions. Like you can say, okay, here's login, here's add to cart, here's checkout. These security vulnerabilities apply to these actions. So here's your risk factor. Here's your potential, impact. So there's definitely a correlation there, and Cisco's all over it.
Love it. And I said that was going to be our last topic, but Dave Hines brings up a really great comment, and ultimately you guys can read it there. But I love the fact that it reduces that single domain knowledge to just a short number of individuals. I mean, it exposes the company to be as transparent as possible internally, and in some cases externally when that's necessary. Puts the power of the business back in the business as opposed to one or two people locked in a dark room somewhere. So that's
Absolutely.
super awesome. There. Yeah.
And as we see things like DevOps and DevSecOps, where you've got these teams now that are true, build it, own it, support it, you have to know SRE teams, right, that are coming about. They can't keep just going to individual people. They have to have some pretty broad knowledge. And FSO is a huge help for those personas.
Absolutely. Joe, I feel like we've just scratched the tip of the iceberg with our conversation, but we are out of time. So you have an open invitation to come back. We're going to get with your people so we get that done sooner rather than later. But let's have that conversation from right here in San Antonio, inside of the castle, well, maybe even inside of Flynn, so you can spend some time. How about that?
I'm all over it. You got it.
Thank you so much, Joe. Have a great rest of your day. Well, everyone, Full Stack Observability, if you want to learn more, head over to appdynamics.com and learn more about that. So what a great conversation. Joe's a great guy, super smart, and a lot to share. So, folks, all of this information can be found and more over at rackspace.com/solve. Guys, that is a very safe place. That is a place you can go and know you're not going to get a pop-up window that says, hey, how can I help you today? It's all for free. You can go get your information, go download what you need. So head over to Solve when we're done. All right, that is our cloud discussion. Of course, that means that we're heading off into This Week in Cloud, and that is when we get to look at a couple of news articles from this week and why it's important to you as brilliant cloud technologists. So let's start with this one. And this is from an article that I found over on Forbes. And it's one of those contributed articles, but it's a great article. And you can go research it. It's the 5 factors to keep in mind when choosing a cloud analytics platform. Here are those 5 factors. They're great. Think big and think long-term. This is an investment. This is a long-term investment when you think your analytics platform. By the way, you can put your analytics platform at your full stack observability implementation as well. You want to look for consistency and flexibility, consistent with your existing infrastructure and flexible to be able to do what you want to do. Third, you want to look for more consistency, not just with your on-premises stuff, but with your cloud deployments as well. What works well, what maybe even works natively. Also, number 4, then, evaluate available skills and training resources. What do they have available to help you be successful? And then lastly, it's going to seem sort of obvious, but always talk to a customer reference. This is a long-term investment, and you want to make sure that you're not making changes anytime soon. Also, in the world of cybersecurity. Now, last week we had one from Security Week. This week we have one from Security Week. I'm thinking you guys need to start subscribing to Security Week. Chinese cyber spies use supply chain attack to deliver Windows and Mac OS malware. Now, in the last couple of years, of course, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of cyber security attacks. Now, what's happening is they're spending less time going after some of these big targets, the Pentagon, Department of Defense, massive bank somewhere. But if they can interject themselves into a software supply chain, where the software is being built and constructed and compiled, they actually have a much larger target. And so they're using tools like cyber espionage group. Oh, the group Iron Tiger. Now, I wanted to go get the sound clip and back to the 80s songs. Eye of the Tiger, but that's different. We wanted Iron Tiger. And this happened, they did some pretty big attacks back in November of last year, which are only now becoming public. All right, so watch out for the scary stuff. The scary stuff is bad. All right, that's what's going on in the news, folks. With that, let's go look at what's happening in the cloud releases. There has been, of course, no lack of things going on from our friends at all of the hyperscale cloud providers. And as always, we will start with the group over at AWS. They have been creating some pretty great Oops, I'm just sitting on the fast forward button, aren't I? Let's go back. There we go. One more. All right, well-architected toolkits are now available in AWS Gov Cloud regions. Folks, that's a US implementation, but know that their well-architected tools are now available in their Gov Cloud. Love it when we get to see advancements in what's happening with the public cloud providers, not just creating new content, but enabling that and growing it farther and farther. Sorry, I had to move some stuff on the screen so I'd actually see what I was doing because I couldn't see. All right, that's the well-architected stuff. Yes, we've covered that. Let's move over to Azure. Over at Azure, their update is in general availability. The network security group now supports in production private endpoints. This is important because your NSGs now not just inside of things that are happening in your Azure deployment, but those private endpoints, yes, that means inside of your organization. So that is a great update from them. I think I actually talked about that when it was in preview, but now it's in production all throughout the world. Now over at Google Cloud, there have been Cloud Console updates. Too many to list, but I'll tell you a few of them. Query results are now displayed in resizable columns. Tab titles now expand when space is no longer available for the names. Tooltips are available throughout. And in the Explorer pane, you can now access saved queries by expanding your project. There they are, right inside of there. Folks, this is a long list. Here's what you got to do. Super easy. Just open up any search tool and type in GCP space updates, or AWS or Azure, and you'll find all of this information, all the ones I talked about today, and a bevy of others. Now, as you know, our program here is part of Rackspace's Solve program. The Solve program, and you can see the link right there, is our thought leadership program here at Rackspace. And as part of the thought leadership program, that means we're not selling to you. We're just giving you information. And but that's not entirely true, I guess, because the one thing I do sell here, and there's been a lot of questions that have been asked here, is are there jobs available at Rackspace? Yes, there are tons of jobs available at Rackspace, and I'm going to share one with you today. We call it the Rackspace job of the day. And one thing we've noticed is we've looked at our metrics of who is coming to the program. There are a lot of folks who are involved in sales. So I thought, why not bring a sales job up? There are so many technical jobs. Somebody asked about storage. Somebody asked about networking. Somebody asked about cloud architect. Yes, tons of those available. Go to rackspace.com/jobs, and you'll see them listed on there. Please apply. Tell them Jeff sent you. But we have a job for account executive, somebody in sales, but you own the customer relationship, which is fantastic. You get to find that customer, you get to grow that customer, nurture them, you get to bring just the right technology at just the right time for them, and help them be successful by utilizing new tools and technology. Maybe even some full stack observability from our friends at App Dynamics. All right, you again go over to rackspace.jobs to find that information out. Folks, go to Solve, go check out the information we have there. We have a brand new security research that's going to be made available very shortly as soon as I read it and approve it. It's in my to-do list for the afternoon, and that's going to come out next week. Our lots of articles are over there. You'll find infographics. You'll find our past research. It's all over there. And I also want to tell you that while we've had Joe here from App Dynamics, And thanks, Chris Hansen, for the best pitch of an AE yet. You own the customer and help them be successful. Oh, and sell something along the way. That's a good idea. All right, but Joe is here. I'm very thankful for his time, but a huge thank you to App Dynamics at large because they are a sponsor of our program here at Solve. They help make all of these things possible. So head over to appdynamics.com. They're a part of Cisco, and all of the Cisco suite is now plugging into and being used as a cohesive suite of capabilities to make your companies more successful through the use of technology. Now, this is a Thursday. It's a little different for us. I was moving my son into his back into college earlier this week, but we're back on Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, in fact, is we're bringing, in fact, the last of our summer road trip. We're back to the UK. Oh, well, back first time to the UK, I guess, but we're back to EMEA. Andrew Brierley is going to be here, and he is our GM of the UK. And so he's going to come and talk about cloud opportunities, cloud trends, things that are going on in cloud centric to our over there in the UK. Well, folks, there it is. This has been so much fun. I'm glad that you've been with us today. We're back on Tuesday. Hope to see you then for another Cloud Talk Live.